All right, everybody, welcome to the Amazing Showdown, week 7. Today, we're going to be talking about search campaigns, which are the heart and soul of good digital advertising. It all starts and ends on search. There's a lot of other places that you can convert sales, but search is by far the most compelling and the highest converting. So this is going to be the part of the Law and Order series. This is all about structuring our campaigns successfully for the algorithm, and segmenting our campaigns based on shopper intent and optimizing our campaigns for performance so that we can win high scores with the algorithm and absolutely outrank our competition with far less effort. So today we're going to talk about search campaigns. We're talking about top of search, right? We've discussed in other classes the path to purchase, and we know, and I'm going to show you guys some stats here in a minute, but we know that top of search, it converts to about 80% of our product sales. While we need to gain visibility in other places, top of search is going to be what determines our key conversion metrics, how well we rank at top of search. So, search marketing is the ultimate peacemaker, right? This is going to be the piece when you get your search campaign structured correctly and you win with the algorithm without question. It's so much easier to beat your competition because competitively they have unstructured campaigns. They haven't done their targeting in any kind of granular way. They're not strategically building sales history. Most people are putting a lot of keywords in random groups using like some kind of organic or personal filing system and just putting everything together and then trying to manage it the best they can. So when you come in with a very structured campaign and a campaign that's designed to match shopper intent and designed to rank and designed to maximize your advertising budget, well, it's a clear competitive advantage. And in the end, the algorithm is the ultimate peacemaker and will choose who shows up at the top of the page and who doesn't. The one thing to keep in mind with search marketing, and this isn't the case with other types of advertising, like placement advertising we'll be covering next week. It's not the same strategy. But with search, the key takeaway is it's all about accuracy. You do need to be first, you need to be fast, you need to be focused. But the way you're really going to win is through accurate targeting and accurate analysis and accurate management of your campaigns to get the full performance value. So accuracy is really the game in search. So we talked about it in the past, and as you guys know, with Amazon shoppers, about 20% of their time is spent in search because Amazon is a shopping engine, and they've designed their product pages to be tremendously engaging with reviews and comparison shopping and just everything a shopper could want to go down the path of purchase and make comparisons and decisions. So Amazon has thought very carefully and thoughtfully and optimized their product pages to make an incredible shopping experience. So what you're going to see with that is the fact that people spend time on the shopping pages, right? They tend to spend time on product pages doing the things that Amazon has designed them to do, especially the whole review system. But so 20% of their time is spent in search on Amazon, which is where, but the key thing to remember with search is it is the beginning 20%. It is where the search, their highest level of intent is on the search engine. Whenever someone actually, with search marketing, the power is that when someone types a keyword into the search results, into that search bar, they are so clear on what they're looking for. And your goal is to match exactly what they're looking for in their mind. That's where all markets are one in the mind of the prospect, right? They're not one on the dusty length of Main Street. They're one in the prospect's mind when the prospect is searching, comparison, making decisions, learning about brands and options in the category. So with search, it gives you the power of getting absolutely inside your prospect's mind at the exact time they're seeking. So the reason that's so powerful is it has an incredibly high conversion rate because of the relevance factor. When they're shopping pages, we know they're in category and we know they're in market, which is also very compelling, and we need those category and market sales. But in search, we know exactly what they want. They're defining it in their keywords, and our goal is to match that as closely as possible. Now, the 80% of the time they spend shopping, we're going to focus on visibility, and we'll talk about that next week. But today, we're going to focus on capturing as many sales and as much visibility as possible at top of search. When we reviewed the numbers for this a few weeks ago, I was able to show you guys early in actually Act 1, we looked at the fact that if you look at results across all of my campaigns, what you're finding is that 80% of sales are coming from top of search on Amazon. And that means top of the search results for relevant competitive keywords. And then in my auto campaigns, you can see, and also even in my manual campaigns, you can see a significant number of impressions and views are coming off of the other placements on Amazon, right? So all those product pages, that 80% that makes up the shopper's path to purchase, I'm actually capturing all my visibility there, and you can kind of see the numbers here. You can see how much more traffic there is, just like I show you the 80/20. You can see how much more traffic there really is on the other pages, other placements within the engine. But top of search is where 80% of sales happen. So it's important that when you start thinking about your strategy, that you continue to kind of section it out, where search is really focused on your conversions, and your positioning of your product, right? What keywords are most important for you to win, and what keywords will position you to take that category and establish leadership. And then you move over to the other placements for next week, and you start thinking about where can you get increased visibility, and where can you get overall kind of repetitive views throughout the path to purchase. So the key with search, and you guys have become mavericks at this over 7 weeks, the key to successful search campaigns boils down to leveraging two things. That is match types and modifiers. Now, today we're going to talk more about campaign structure and how to build these campaigns, how to optimize them, how to set them up. But know when you're sitting back and spending your time and energy on your ad campaigns, what is the thing that will make your campaigns more competitive and more aggressive and more successful is definitely going to be the way you leverage match types and modifiers. And for a quick review, your match types are going to be how you match those keywords: broad, phrase, exact, and negative. Those are absolutely, without question, a single keyword can be leveraged across multiple match types and can get significantly different results. Your exact versus your broad, negatives, when they start to filter out in unqualified searches. Your match types are really the powerful thing in search to kind of set your campaigns apart from any of your competition. Well-leveraged match types will always win the game. The next is going to be your modifiers. That's understanding what unique words people use when they're searching for your product to describe the features and benefits, or the problems or solutions, things that actually they modify their search to kind of define something that's unique in the product benefits that they're looking for. The more you leverage modifiers, the higher conversions you're going to have. And the more you understand modifiers in search, the more you're going to have a better understanding of your shopper and how they buy. And when it comes to modifiers, essentially features and benefits are how people make purchase decisions, and understanding that is the key to selling. So the one thing to never forget with advertising, there's all sorts of different ways to promote and market your product on the internet. But when it comes to advertising is strictly a sales tool and a customer acquisition tool. Those are the ways that you want to leverage advertising. So when you put your ad campaigns together and you sit down with your intention, the key intent there is, how can I acquire more customers at scale? And how can I sell more of my products to these customers? So you'd never want to lose sight of that in advertising, because good advertising is always designed to sell. Okay, so we're going to start out by outlining our campaigns. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to do a phased approach to outlining our campaigns. The first thing that we do this in phases. And what I mean by that is we start out kind of with the information that we have. So if you have a brand new product and you don't have any data on that product, advertising data, because the only data that's really useful is ad data. So unless you have ad data, then you have a new product. So you've never advertised this product before, and you need to learn how the shopper makes a purchase decision and what kinds of keywords they use to get to your product and then make that purchase. When you do that, you want to start out with your brand. You're always covering your brand territory. It's just a basic base. Your first thing, every campaign, phase 1, is going to have your brand keywords. And this is a campaign outline. This is the exact campaign outline I use to build campaigns. So you can see here that I have my brand keywords at the top. I've got the keywords that we did in the keyword research phase. All of these keywords are actually segmented in the keyword research PDF. If you want to go through that thought process again, they're detailed in there step by step. So you've got your brand keywords. That's the first group that you're going to put together in phase one. And then your second is going to be your browse keywords, right? These are going to be keywords that are a little more general. They're kind of top of funnel, but they're not so broad. They're no longer relevant. Because remember, when it comes to keywords, people are going to self-select, which means if I just put in the word jeans, I would be leaving myself open to a whole bunch of problems, and you can kind of see them over here in the negatives. I would be leaving myself open to men's jeans. I would be leaving myself open to juniors jeans. I would be leaving myself open to all sorts of searches that just people looking for jeans. First of all, if I only have women's jeans, 50% of the universe is going to be men. So to filter that out immediately is important. So you really want to be bidding. Of course, I don't have to use that as a negative in this list because I'm not even going to start as far up in my funnel as jeans. I'm going to identify all of my match types by the word women, right? So all of my keywords are positioned as women's jeans. That's as like far down you would go into the browse funnel is a keyword that at least identifies. Your goal with that browse keyword is to think about it like a filter, to think about it as people will self-select. So which direction will they automatically, you can go look at auto suggest, you can go back to the keyword research doc, but your goal when you segment these is to really understand where you can start in the browse where people are just looking, but also be relevant enough that people are not automatically going to be not qualified for your ad because something as obvious as the fact that they're looking for men's jeans and you have ladies. So you start at the second kind of tier in the keywords. Jeans would be too broad, and we've started in here at browse, jeans for women. Then we go ahead and set our match types. And then our last group is our keywords that really are specific and define our product. And those are the ones that define our features and benefits. They're called mid-tail keywords in my strategy. And your mid-tail keywords are the most important. They're going to convert the highest. Your browse keywords are going to give you more visibility, and they're also going to allow you to kind of mine some new search terms. So you definitely start with those three campaigns: brand, browse, and shop. Those are the first three that you start with without any data. And you go ahead and you do sort of a tiered bidding structure on those, right? So you're going to set your highest bid at brand. There's no risk in brand. So I'm always in competitive categories where I'm advertising the best selling product in the category. So the majority of time, my competitors are always bidding on my brand keywords. You may be kind of starting out and wonder, why would you bid so high in brand? But as you get more visibility and more popularity in any category, the new people that come to the category immediately bid on your keywords. It's just part of, when you own a category, people kind of associate the category with you. Like I guarantee a lot of, brown soda manufacturers bid on the word Coke. It's just one of those things they do because people start to kind of define that. So without question, the more popular your product is, something like Levi's, the more likely that your brand keywords are being bid on by all competitors. So you have to be aggressive in your own bidding strategy, even though you're going to win it based on relevance and sales. From there, I tier my bid down slightly, a little bit higher in shop. I know those keywords are much more valuable. I know the shopper intent is looking for my specific style of jeans now. She's not just looking for women's jeans. I know that women's jeans' most popular style are skinny from my research, but I also know that she may be looking for boot cut or some of these other ones. So I've done 2 steps to kind of filter that. I put boot cut and other styles that don't apply to my jeans in my negative list as single negatives. And then I've gone ahead in here to shop, and I'm just focused on skinny jeans, the style that I specifically have that I'm going to advertise. So that's going to have a higher bid than browse. Browse is going to be much more general, so I keep my bid a little bit lower there. And if you look in column H, you can see my budgets and bids. And they're just starting bids, because remember what you start with. People ask a lot about tiered bidding. Sure, you can start with a tiered bid, but in the end, it's all about bidding for rank and making sure you're at the top of the search results. We'll cover that here in a bit. So, your tiered bidding will slowly kind of fade away, because as you actually adjust bids based on market, you're going to find that your tiers are going to skew because the market, whatever it takes to rank it, is how you're going to bid, not necessarily just by the numbers. So you can, if you have a good budget and an open budget, you can start at the beginning phase 1 with your auto campaign at a lower budget and a lower bid. The use of auto is really for this phase two. The next class we're going to cover, placement targeting. It's a remnant traffic strategy, so it's not for your top of search results. Very little traffic is going to come from auto and hit top of search, such a small sliver that you wouldn't really consider it viable as a strategy. So you're not using auto for your search campaigns, but if you want to activate that to start kind of getting some traction on product pages, it's kind of a, it's a set and forget type campaign, auto is. So there's no harm in activating it, but if you have a limited budget, do not activate auto. Stay focused on your manual. Put your money on these keywords that are really going to impact top of search and get you those 80% of conversions that you need to start building sales history with the algorithm to get that ultimate win. The next phase that we go into here is now we have data from our search term report, and we have covered search term mining in detail. So with your search term report, now you have new data, right? You have new keywords that you've mined from your search term report. I'll show you an example of that in section 3. But you've mined new keywords, new keyword variations that are unique that you're not currently bidding on, and those go into a group called scale. Now, once again, depending on your budget criteria, depends if you want to be conservative or aggressive. You can go anywhere in the middle depending on your budget, your strategy, your sales conversions, your product positioning. It's really going to be a personal preference. If you want to go smack dab in the middle, only move keywords to scale that have 3+ orders. 3+ orders is a good kind of middle of the road strategy. You're allowing the keywords to gain some traction. You're going to get enough data to know they have 3 orders before making a decision to move them into scale, because of course scale has a higher bid. We're going to cover that as well. So before you get into your scale bidding, which is going to increase the bid and be quite more aggressive on your ranking strategy, you want to be sure those keywords are actually going to produce for you over the long haul. So to be more certain of that, right in the middle, you would go with 3+ orders out of the search term report. Now, if you want to be aggressive and you feel like you're already kind of tackling this and you're savvy with your search term reports, you have a huge budget, you're very competitive, you're in, just kind of going for that final kind of, market share strategy, you can move keywords into this campaign or this ad group that have 2+ orders. Now, if you want to be aggressive, 2+ orders will work as well. The only downside with 2+ orders is that you need to be managing those keywords manually multiple times a week to make sure that they don't exceed your ACoS goals at those higher bids. Some keywords are going to really fly and some are not when you start to scale them. So 3+ is a lot easier to manage. It's a lot more conservative, but it's not so conservative. If you want to be super conservative, you're on a tight budget and you really want to make sure that every last dollar counts, I would suggest going ahead and moving keywords to scale after 5+ orders. There's no harm in waiting. Nothing is going to happen if you wait. But I would wait till you have conclusive data after 5+ orders that your ACoS is hitting its targets and that it's going to produce for you the way you want it when you go uncap the bid and scale. So again, it really depends on your own preferences. All of those metrics are going to work fantastically. 1 is more aggressive, 2+ orders. 3 is somewhere in the middle. 5+ orders is the very best strategy if you have a tight budget and you're trying to use a conservative strategy to scale without having too much invested in testing. So from here, we put our keywords into scale that are converting to orders. And then the second thing we do is we see the keywords that are producing 80% of our sales, right? We always go after the 80-20 in advertising. Everything is 80-20 in this game. So we look at like which of these keywords are producing 80% of our orders. Now that's why there's no certain order threshold. It has to do with all your keywords combined. So you look at all the orders in your orders column and you say, okay, this keyword produced 20 orders and the other keywords produce 2. Well, now you're at 80-20, right? The keyword that produced 20 orders versus 2 is far more interesting. So when it comes to the threshold, it's not that there's a certain number of orders, it's just the amount of orders that keyword is producing for your product in relation to the other keywords. So you're just sorting all your keywords by orders and you're seeing which ones produce the highest number of orders, highest number of impressions, and those go into single keyword ad groups so they can get maximum scale. So I've got broad and phrase here. So that's going to be kind of how you structure your phase 2 strategy. And the reason it's phase 2 is because it doesn't exist without data. all of the campaigns, all of these ad groups right here are built into the campaign based on search term data. So they can't exist prior to data. They only exist after 30 days of data. So you can start with your best guess and browse and shop and brand. And of course, your browse, shop, and brand continue to live on in phase 2, but now you've added some data from the search term report and you've gone ahead and added scale in your singles. Now, the third thing that you do in your search strategy is you add in headline search. So headline search is a different, we're going to talk about ad copy here in a bit. And I've posted a really good sheet for you guys to download on ad copy that is, there's no reason for me to teach you ad copy that sells because the maverick David Ogilvy teaches it best. So I've gone ahead and added that in there for you. So you definitely want to pay attention to Ogilvy when you're thinking about ads that sell because he's the maverick. So when we're looking at this, here for headline search, the main thing that you're going to want to take away here is that it's a little bit different headline search than sponsored products. When you think about headline search, the thing you need to keep in mind is that you're allowed to write 50 characters of ad copy, right? So you're allowed to write your own headline, where when you're in sponsored products, this is the key definition. This is the only reason headline search is valuable outside of its absolute great position in the search results, top of search. Headline search is valuable because you get to write the ad copy. Because when you talk about ad copy and positioning, it's really powerful to convert sales. So headline search is only going to work for you if you write a really killer headline. You're not really leveraging headline search if your headline is off topic or watered down or doesn't, contain some of the components I'm going to teach you here today. But with a really good headline, the power of headline search is just the simple fact that you can target. You can absolutely target keywords to ad copy. And this goes back to just traditional search like Google. This is keywords to ad copy. So someone types in the word skinny jeans. Now, previously in sponsored products, I don't really care about having all my skinny jeans keywords in one group necessarily because all the shopper is going to see is my kind of generic title, right? They're going to see my title. They're going to see my product image. They're not going to have a specific ad, catered to them based on their search query. Now, headline search is tremendously different because you have 50 characters there. You can write your ad copy to match the search query. So that's really valuable when it comes to converting traffic. Now, it doesn't replace, putting keywords in headlines certainly doesn't replace the fact that you have to sell. Selling is the first step in any good headline. But it does add an extra layer in that will boost your CTRs. And kind of the main thing when people are in search, the thing is they're not necessarily looking for more information when they're in search. They're actually looking for less information. So the more that you can match, when they come to search, they're in a very specific space and they're already trying to filter everything out to get to a specific objective. When they go to the search results and they type something in like women's skinny jeans, they're really trying to filter the results to see something that they want to see. So it's not a time to give them tons of random information. They want to see more information about women's skinny jeans. So when they do that, to put that kind of ad copy and that text into your creative is very powerful. Again, it only works after you get the key elements of ad copy correct, but you do want to be considering the fact that with headline search, you will segment your keywords based on your modifiers. So if I have a unique modifier for denim, I'm going to segment those into one group. If I have a unique modifier for mid-rise, those are going to go into one group. And once again, your headline search, these headline search ads are built strictly off the search term report and off of proven data from sponsored products. So you don't really guess in headline search, which is why we haven't covered it up to this point. Headline search is not a strategy to test. It's not the small bet. It's more of the big move, right? So your small bets are made in sponsored products. You get conversion data. You get conclusive data, 5+ orders, really a ton of data that these keywords convert for you below your target ACoS. They also have to be below your target ACoS because the ACoS is slightly higher in headline. So you have keywords with strong sales data below your target ACoS. And at that point, from your search term report, you could take those strong keywords and build them into their own headline search campaigns. And they're going to do tremendous. And you can segment them based on keywords. You can, at this point in time, you can do some keyword bucketing, but only based on the modifier that's going to help you sell better, right? So when you put this together, Again, the modifier is super important. You're not trying to just match every keyword to a headline ad. You're trying to match the modifiers so that you can at least tag those modifiers. Someone that looks for a mid-rise skinny is definitely going to be continuing to filter looking for that mid-rise. So when you put mid-rise in the ad copy, you get a higher click-through rate and you get more relevance and you get more buys and you get better sales history. So there is really a useful qualifier there by putting those keywords in the ad copy, but you have to think about it strategically to match shopper intent and to match search intent. It's not just for keyword matching. It's definitely got to be done strategically to think about how people are looking and what kind of key modifier they need to see in that ad to get them to click. So these are going to be how you set up your headline ads. You'll do a lot of single keyword ad groups. Single keywords work tremendously well in headline search, just like they do in sponsored products. So you can start with your single keyword ad groups on the stuff that converts the highest. Again, try to find keywords that are below your target ACoS, because if they're too high in your target ACoS thresholds, your headline search ads are going to be significantly more expensive than sponsored products because they're more competitive, and it's a higher priced CPC up in that position. So now we're going to talk about the strategy behind rolling out and outlining a good campaign. So the first thing you want to remember is that you always create your campaigns in a spreadsheet. I do mine in a Google Doc. You could do it in Excel. No matter what spreadsheet tool you use, you need to use a spreadsheet, not the campaign manager, to outline your campaigns. And it's not important how you organize the data, as long as it's your data and you're looking at it and you're kind of organizing and sorting it. There's no formula to putting it together in a spreadsheet. It's just important that you know that your data needs to be added to a spreadsheet for analysis and for sorting and for organizing far before you put it in the campaign manager. The campaign manager is designed for optimization. It's not a place. It's really designed for bid and budget management. It's at the build phase. But it's not designed for you to just start kind of building in there. You won't be able to keep track of what you're doing without a good, solid outline like the one outlined here, right? You want it in a spreadsheet. That's where all the hard work and hard thinking goes. And then you just pretty much copy and paste it into your campaign manager. Next is you want to be launching campaigns in phases to manage your budget and targeting. Again, you only have a limited budget when you're first starting out. You need to get more data on your most important keywords. You need to understand your competitors and your actual CPCs. There's a whole lot of things you want to learn along the way. And then you're going to get your first search term report, and you want to learn a lot more about sales and conversions and how many clicks it takes you to get a sale, kind of the things we've covered in the last classes. So it's really important that you allow yourself this phased approach to the build. One, it'll get you in the right mindset. This is an iterative process. You won't be trying to do it all at once, because it really isn't done all at once ever for anyone, including me. It's an iterative process. It evolves over time. It changes over time. It's optimized over time. It's like an organic kind of living thing that is with the market. So without question, you want to do this in phases, and you want to get into the frame of mind where you're working in phases. You want to segment your keywords based on the shopper intent and your bidding strategy. So we just reviewed that. We'll review it again. But the way you segment your keywords is not just based on keyword buckets. Even when you're thinking about headline search and getting those keywords grouped according to modifiers, you're still thinking about shopper intent. Like, do those groupings represent a unique benefit that I need to feature in my ad copy? So no matter how you're segmenting keywords, it's always going to be based on which keywords you want to put the most money on. That's very important. That's why we do a lot of singles. What keywords deserve the most budget? And then more importantly, which of those keywords need to be grouped for relevance if you're doing headline search to get the ad copy matched up correctly. You want to start with relevant keywords, that small group. I'm in no way suggesting, when I say start, brand, shop, browse, I'm in no way suggesting that you start out with a whole bunch of keywords and lump them into 3 groups. I'm simply saying to take tightly themed, very targeted, well-researched keywords with good match types and modifiers, and start with small ad groups, small keyword groups that have good potential for volume and conversion, and then scale based on the sales performance in your search term report. You want to focus on the unique benefits your product delivers in the headline. This is really important as we get into ad copy here for a minute. When you write a good headline, it's all about benefits and unique benefits, right? And I'm going to talk a lot about ad copy here because it's one of those things, again, I've given you guys a download from Ogilvy that goes with this class because he really sums it up best. Any ad professional has read Ogilvy. I think some of it we started as youngins with Ogilvy. And there's nobody that's a maverick that hasn't read Ogilvy on advertising. So I gave you my best PDF. I have a huge Ogilvy swipe file. We'll talk a little bit about swipe files during the Q&A, but a swipe file is where you go and you find relevant ads. We'll talk a little bit about it here too. It's where you find relevant ads. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Google. Wherever you see an ad that catches your attention, you can screenshot that ad and you keep it in a folder. And I call that a swipe file. I have extensive swipe files on anything that I advertise because I'm always looking at what the hooks are in other ads, especially if it caught me. And it doesn't have to be in my industry or even the industry I'm advertising. I just look at good ad copy because it always works across all industries. That's one thing I've learned over the years. So good ad copy is effective in all, the same kind of hooks can work across multiple markets. The key is remembering that the ad should pitch the benefit. It is a sales pitch. Ads are designed to sell. And now when we talk about traditional sponsored products all the way up to this class, it's not the case, right? We're talking about, because the only time that your ad is going to really be designed to sell by you is when you write the copy. So it's a little bit of like an extra layer here when you get to headline search, because we're sponsored products. Like I said, you don't control that ad copy. So you're not controlling the pitch. You're not controlling the message to market. You've done it with a really nicely put together product listing, but you're not like carving that out to really match the shopper's intent. But headline search is different. The way to leverage it is to make sure that your benefits and everything is related to their search, because it's a completely different strategy. So when you're writing good headline ads, there's 3 things you have to do. And if you miss any of these, those ads are not going to, they'll click for you, but they're not competitive. And when you're talking about Amazon, you've got one ad position. And in all my markets, I win that position, even on the fiercest keywords. I mean, the stacked, most competitive keywords, I'm very aggressive to win those headline ads if and when I want them. Again, I have to have a lot of data that the keywords are converting for. I load those up. But when I do take them, I take them through better performing ad copy. So the best way to really summarize what a good ad has to have is it has to make a clear, competitive promise. And I think this is the one place that most advertisers just really don't think about. And I'm going to give you some insights here that are so important when you think about promises. So promises, first of all, it's got to be a competitive. Let's talk about the 2 kind of qualifiers here to a good promise. First is that it's clear. Clear means it's one promise. You're not making multiple promises. Kind of going back, anytime you post anything, that's really why Amazon gives you 50 characters, because anything can be summed up in 50 characters if you think it through and get a concise thought. It's very hard to get concise. It's hard to think through all the different options, but kind of like something that's well designed, like an Apple computer, that's all about simplification, right? They're removing elements, not adding them. Good ad copy, it's designed. It's the same way. It's all about simplification of the message. You have 50 characters. You get to a similar situation in any other platform where you have a limited amount of space for ad copy. And the reason for that is because you don't need more space than that to say something, right? So you want to really kind of hone your message down to one promise, right? You're not trying to make multiple promises. You got to figure out what's the biggest promise that your product can deliver that's absolutely what the shopper wants. It's not just what you want to say, it's what promise is going to drive that sale. So another key thing to remember with promises is that they're stacked. So for example, if someone in your category, a competitor of yours on any platform, has made a similar promise to you, right? Only one competitor will own that promise. Only one competitor will own it in the prospect's mind. The competitor that has more visibility and more truth in the promise and more ability to deliver on the promise is going to be the one to own that promise. And once a promise has been taken to market, it's no longer useful. So when you're looking at swiping ad copy, it's far more effective to look at competitors on other platforms that aren't on Amazon. It's far more effective to look at other kind of categories, other places, other products, and look for inspiration. Because anytime one of your competitors has already used a promise, that promise is dead. Whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's the best copywriter in America, it does not matter. The promise is dead once it's been used in the market at scale, because that's not interesting anymore to go and have the same promise as somebody else. That doesn't work to convert ads. So what a lot of people do that are more advanced, copywriters is they stack the promise, right? So at this point, and you'll need to be doing this too on Amazon, and not in an advanced way, but in a very basic way, you're going to need to see what promises are already in the market for your product, or what if someone's even making a promise. I notice most of the Amazon ads lack benefits and promises. They're not written for sales. So you're probably in a good spot with Amazon. But let's just say you see a headline ad that is competitively positioned and it has a promise in it. You'll need to think about how you can stack on that promise. How can you make your promise stronger? How can you build on that promise to take it to the next level, right? So a good example of promise stacking would be weight loss. Like everybody knows the classic, lose 30 pounds in 30 days pitch. Well, when that first came out in direct response, that clocked some serious sales, like, I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And it's kind of a really strong promise. It was the first time that anyone kind of had attributed to 30 pounds, 30 days. It was a really well done promise. Now, no one else can say that and convert the traffic because they've already, in the mind of the prospect, they already associate this one product with doing that. But now you have to come out and you have to think, okay, if people responded to 30 pounds in 30 days, what are the triggers that made that ad work? Well, obviously they're looking for fast, and obviously they're looking for a specific amount of pounds. So then you have to kind of rework that creative into your own kind of promise that is unique and compelling. So you always want to be thinking about what are the current promises in the market, how strong are they? And then your goal is to stack and make your promise even better than the competitors. And then most of the time in Amazon, you guys are going to be in the golden era where very few people even have promise-driven ads, so you can beat them out the gate just by promising anything versus just kind of rambling on in some technical jargon. The next thing that you have to do is you want to describe your benefits and then the results. So it's really important that when you're talking about benefits, you don't just talk about features. Like features would be, a feature would be something that the product can do, but a benefit is something that you gain. So, a feature of a product may be that it has like say you have an acne cream. The feature of that product would be that it's got a proprietary formula that eliminates acne. That would be a feature. But the benefit would be that it reduces acne, redness, and within 2 times faster than the competition, or it's going to do something, right? So what's the outcome? It's going to reduce redness, it's going to eliminate acne, it's going to heal faster, it's going to kind of calm inflamed skin. It's going to be about the visible appearance of what that product is going to do, not the proprietary formula that made it work. So the feature is kind of what is in the product that makes it work. It's important from a manufacturing and product development phase, but in terms of what it does for the user is what you really care about for the shopper. What's this product going to do for them, and what does the outcome look like? What are the results that this can deliver? And the closer you get to benefits and results, the closer you're going to get to getting shoppers to click and to beating ads for that top position competitively. And then the very last step is where we get to get into the technical stuff. People love technical stuff, but we're not. We're in advertising, you're selling stuff. So your first 2 key things are you got to sell. You got to make a really good, clear promise, and you got to get those benefits and results dialed in. And you got to get it all into 50 characters and very concise. So from there, though, you can now match your keywords and search intent. It's not about matching every keyword into the ad copy. It's more like, okay, someone that wants a high rise is looking for a very particular cut. Someone that wants a ripped jean is looking for a very particular style. So of course, when they put in the word ripped, or they put in the word, when they put those particular phrases in, high rise, mid rise, ripped, those are qualifiers that we need to include in our ad copy, because those are style characteristics that they are modifying in their search to get an exact type of product. So if you do all 3 of those things, you're going to have killer headline ads. And I've given you guys a great download to go even more in detail about ad copy that sells. So now we're going to get into creating our campaigns. So everything has happened in the spreadsheet. Now we just move into the campaign manager. Now, like I had mentioned before, the goal of the campaign manager is really to get in here and to go ahead and work on our budgets and bids. Even though we put those in the sheet, it's like within the campaign manager is where the magic starts in terms of bids and budget setting, and getting it all right. So the focus of actually creating your campaigns, you're going to copy and paste your keywords and your ad group names and your structure and your ASINs. You'll have all that built before you ever come in here. So all that's just a copy and paste. But when you actually go to create your campaigns, you do want to be thinking strategically about how your campaign settings are. So first and foremost, you're going to focus on a manual targeted campaign for search. You are not going to reach any top of search shoppers with auto, at least nothing significant in the budget. So you're going to go ahead and start with a manual campaign. You're going to put no end date on it, and you're going to put start date of when you put this in. I think a good starting budget for most campaigns is $500. It's going to take that campaign about 30 days to start really getting traction and the full momentum. You're going to see a lot of traffic immediately, but you can really see scale kind of start to take hold at about 30 days. So the first 30 days, I think $500 budget is a great place to start on a campaign when you're testing. And remember, with your budget, your goal is not to put a budget in that you will even reach. It's uncapped. What that means is it's far above what you could spend on that keyword. So essentially, if the keyword, we're going to hope that this keyword would actually spend, or these keywords would actually spend, $250 a day. We're going to put 500 because it's uncapped. We're in no way saying we want to spend 500. If I thought my campaign would spend 500 a day, I put my bid at 750. If I thought my campaign would spend 1,000 a day, I would put my bid at 1,250, right? I'm uncapping, which means I'm putting my budget way ahead of what I ever project to spend, way above my projected ad spend, because I never want to run out of ad budget or money on the keywords I'm bidding on, because then it takes me out of high performing traffic hours. It takes me out of top of search placements. Limited budgets really reduce it reduces the power of your campaigns, and it kind of puts you at a disadvantage immediately. So again, I would do less keywords, higher budget, not the other way around. Not lots of keywords, low budget. Go ahead and flip that around. Just do the keywords that you can afford 24/7 and put a budget that you're not intending on exceeding. You're trying to set it quite a bit above what you would actually spend on those keywords. So next is going to be the bids. So when we come in here, we look at the Amazon suggested bid, right? The Amazon suggested bid gives us a great place to kind of look and threshold to start, right? So when we're looking at the suggested bid, here we put in some broad and some phrase match keywords I'm starting to test in this particular shop ad group. And the suggested bid range is anywhere from, it looks like on a high, it's at 175. And then the more focused keywords are coming up to 245. So I'm going to start my bid about 60 cents above the suggested bid. The highest suggested bid, because I'm bidding for rank. I don't have any data yet. So I have to see how much I can sell on skinny jeans. What's my actual CPC? Once again, I'm setting a bid that I'm not planning on exceeding. I'm setting a bid that's going to allow me to kind of see what the top ad positions are going to cost, right? Because what you bid is not what you pay. It's your actual bid will be based on your sales performance. So you kind of need to see what that looks like. So even here, I'm going to set this bid, but just know as we get into phase 3 that we're covering here next, I'm going to be adjusting that bid to actually rank. So this is just a starting bid. It's going to be changed all the time based on real-time data and where I'm ranking and how the ads are performing. But I'm going to start this bid at 305 based on Amazon's suggested bid. Now, from here, another thing to keep in mind is this is a group that I'm trying to rank. I don't have any keyword level metrics. I'm not trying to lower cost or minimize a cost. I don't have that metric yet. This is my phase 1 group. So I'm literally going to be, so because of that, I'm going to set the same bid across all keywords. And I would call that as my ad group bid. And what that simply means is that all keywords in that ad group have the same bid, and it's only a bid designed for rank. It's a bid that's uncapped. It's a bid that I'm not planning on tapping. It's a bid that it's like the highest bid I can set to be above my competitors' bids for those top rank positions on the first page of search. I want top of search. It's where all the sales come in. So I'm over there kind of pushing for that rank. So by doing that, I'm putting the same bid on all keywords, and I will increase the bid across all keywords until some keyword shows me in the data that it cannot endure that kind of bidding and do it profitably. So from there, you're going to talk about the difference when I talk about that ad group level bid. So as you can see, my default bid is set for all keywords in these groups, right? So when I set a default bid, some, and again, you'll notice that some are similar, some are different. That's because the bidding strategy, we're going to cover that here in a minute, is all set based on a starting bid. But once your campaigns go active, you're going to be bidding for rank. So they're all just going to be edited based on your competition and what's really required in the bid for each group to rank. So with that in mind, even if you set up the cleanest tiered bidding system, when you're actually ranking those keywords, that's not going to stick. You're going to be increasing those keywords by 20 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents until you see you get the top positions. That's, when you bid for rank. So when you start to do that, the tiered bidding that you set up in the beginning is going to quickly fade away because it's just a starting bid. And when you get into the next phase, which is optimizing your campaigns, you're not going to, have those like kind of starting bids because they most likely aren't going to get you ranked without some tweaking and adjusting. So now you can kind of see again that the keyword level bid applies to everything, right? It's going through this entire group, right? So I have the same bid on all keywords. And then again, like we've talked before, if you look to the far right, my CPC is completely different on these keywords, right? So my CPC is not the same. So that's going to be the main thing you want to think is all keywords will have the same bid because it's an actual bid for rank strategy. It's my aggressive keywords, but all my CPCs over to the far right are far lower than what I'm bidding. So when we talk about keyword segments and your bidding strategy, you have your browse keywords, right? General high volume keywords. You can start those out with kind of a moderate bid. Your shop keywords are going to be specific and describe your product. Start those out with a higher bid. But once you start to get data at the 30-day mark and you move into phase 2 and you have scale keywords with 3+ orders, I'm going right there in the middle, 3+ orders in the search report. Once I have 3+ orders in the search report, then I know I need a very high bid. At that point, it looks like the previous screen. All my bids are set to the maximum amount required just to make sure that they're going to get traffic. And as a result, I get these kind of low CPCs on the far right, and my bid is absolutely uncapped and it's optimized just to secure the most traffic possible. Okay, so now we get into optimizing our campaigns. And this is kind of the key, right? This will be what we move into in Act 3. But there are, even when you first initiate these phase 1 campaigns, right? Or even if you're in phase 2 with some scale, or even if you're in phase 3 with some headline search, you are going to need to manage these campaigns in the trenches long before you pull a report. You're going to need like 30 days to run the data and get good deep dive analysis. But before you get to that place, you really do need to be looking in the campaign manager to make some good decisions on the fly. So you're going to create a manual campaign for your best-selling product variations, right? That's going to be the key when we put this together. It's a manual campaign and it's for your best-selling product variations. We've covered that in structure, so I'm not going to review it again, but I did want to point that out that you are doing manual campaigns for search. Next, you're going to uncap your bids and your budgets to maximize your visibility and sales. That's a key takeaway there. You really need to make sure that you're uncapping both bids and budgets to maximize that visibility. You're not trying to set a bid and budget. You're not saying I want to spend $500 a day. You're not saying you want to spend $648 a click. You're simply setting a high enough bid and budget where you will not exceed it, and the algorithm knows that you're there to play and you can be competitive. You're going to use Amazon's suggested bid range to determine your starting bid. Right? You're going to go ahead and look at what that bid range says. You're going to use the high end of the bid range, and you're going to start high because you really want to get to top of search and you want to rank. You're going to leverage ad group bids to rank your ads in competitive markets. When you start to put those high uncapped bids across all the keywords in a group that are proven to convert to sales, you are competitively bidding. At that point, you are so competitive on all those keywords. It's like your most important keywords that produce all of your orders. You're being very strategically competitive to say, my first goal is to outbid my competition. These keywords drive all my sales. These keywords drive all my top of search visibility. I want to outrank the competition. That is my primary goal here. So you leverage ad group level bids, which means all keywords in the group are bid strategically to be competitive. And then you only set keyword level bids when your goal is to lower ACoS and ad spend. So when you have a goal of lowering ACoS and ad spend, then you set keyword level bids. And that comes during phase 2. After you've seen your search term report, you have specific keywords that aren't producing across all variations. And with those, you go ahead and you reduce the bids. So we'll talk a little bit about more in this next section on exactly, how you determine a keyword's viability. But the main thing to keep in mind is unless a keyword has shown you that it cannot convert profitably uncapped, right, far above, then you do not want to be lowering the bid at the keyword level. Only when you absolutely know it's not going to be profitable and you need to lower the ad spend on that. Because when you do that, you will also lower sales, and you'll also lower visibility, and you'll also lower sales history. So when you do that, you only want to decrease keyword level bids on the keywords that absolutely require it to be frugal. Okay, so now let's talk about bidding for rank. So when we start optimizing our campaigns, the main thing we're going to do is go back to the search results, and you're going to manually check. That's the first step. So when your campaigns go live, you get out of the campaign manager, you put everything together in a sheet in step 1, right? Everything's in a sheet. It's all organized. You know where you're headed. You get into the campaign manager, you put that stuff together, you create a campaign, you set really good bids and budgets. If you're just testing, obviously everything is an ad group level bid to get scale, to get rank and see what's going to happen. So the first step in optimization is you're going to go ahead and you're going to check your rank, right? You're going to make sure that your product is number 1 in sponsored products. Now, if this is a product that you don't have any data on, there's another approach. We can talk about it again in tiers, because everybody's got a different model, different margins, different business, different goals, different budgets. So let's talk about this strategy in tiers. So if just like the phased campaign build and just like the phased kind of orders that you can kind of filter through, aggressive and moderate and conservative, same thing can happen here with bidding for rank. You can be far more conservative, and you could just say, okay, I want to get to the top of search, right? So you would be over here on the far right, where the women within, over for the far right, those white jeans, you would say, okay, I'll be happy when my ad is at top of search. You're not going to require that you're in position 1 because you don't have enough data and you really don't know what it's going to look like, and you need to see what your actual CPC is. So you could start by winning top of search. Now, that's not where you're going to win the whole game, that's for sure, but you could start there. So you could start by kind of overcoming your fiercest competitor normally in the number 3 spot. Sometimes in apparel, it's 4, like you can see here. So, in the competitor that is at the top of search, the furthest off, the furthest rank, go ahead and take them first. Give it a few days, see what the ACoS looks like, see what things are kind of coming in at, and then you can push again, right? You can push again and go to position 2. Right. So there's a piece in this that's really important to remember, because again, depending on where your product is at in the cycle, like again, if I'm selling a best-selling product on Amazon, I have a ton of sales history for that product. So it's maybe a little easier to push to position 1 right out the gate because I have history. If your product doesn't have a lot of sales history, you may need to incrementally push your bids to get moved through these results. Now, it only is going to depend on 1, what is your budget? How much data do you have? And 2, if you have extensive sales history, you should go straight for position 1, right? Because that's going to give you the most sales. It's going to get your ad rank. You're going to get a better formula there. But I have to say, if you don't have any sales history, you can't necessarily buy your way to position 1. That's going to be the thing. Like we've talked about in the other bid for rank modules, the main thing that I think is left on the table there is that you have to have strong sales performance. Like I can only rank in the number 1 position if I can outsell the people that are there now. If I cannot outsell them, I cannot outpay them. So you can't outbuy positions. You can outbuy positions and then sell in those positions and win them. That is a solid strategy. You outbid, you overbid, you get yourself into the position, you show that you can sell better than who was there before you, and the game is over. That works very well from an ambush standpoint. But if for some reason your product is up there and you really can't compete on sales, or you don't have enough sales history established yet on the product, you're doing something new, it's probably wise to kind of incrementally move up the ranks here at the top of search. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to move up the ranks slowly in your whole ads or the whole strategy. It just simply means that you could take your top of search strategy a little bit more moderate for a brand new product with 0 sales history. And what I mean by that is you could take out your lowest competitors at top of search and then move through from 3 to 2 to 1 and build sales history incrementally over several weeks until you have enough history to start actually performing in a way where you're going to get that position. Because it is without question, if you're moving to the top of search, it isn't a given that you can just by raising your bid get to the number one position without outselling. You got to outperform. I mean, that's just algorithm 101. So until you can outsell that competitor, you really can't take his ad spot. So you may need to build some sales history there if it's a newer product launch. If you have a well-established product with strong sales history, I would suggest you go straight to position one, because you're going to hold it and you're going to hold steady and you're going to take a ton of market share. So then you want to also check that your headline banner is ranked, right? It's just a very simple thing. You get in there and you just make sure that you're absolutely ranking for headline, just like you are for sponsored. Make sure both ads are ranking as you're running them, so you can see how they're performing and see how well you're going to do in those top positions. And like I said, if it's a brand new product without enough sales history, just make sure your headline banner has to be up there, because there's only one spot. But your sponsored ad can be anywhere at top of search and start to get a little more history and start to slowly build traction. Okay, so now we're going to go into our campaign manager at least twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. At the ad group level, you only have, you're running like a brand and a browse and a shop and a scale group, or just a browse and a shop. You don't have a ton of ad groups, so get in there to the ad groups that you do have, and you want to sort your keywords highest to lowest, and you want to start to pause the keywords that have really high ACoS. I've got keywords here and they have, 12 clicks, 10 clicks, 10 clicks. And I start to look at these high ACoS numbers and they all get paused, right? And the reason for this is because another variable that you can use when it comes to pausing keywords, I'm going to give you guys some further metrics on that, is it has to do with your particular click to sale ratio. So when you pull a search term report and you realize all your best keywords, my best keywords in this campaign convert every 4 clicks, right? So I know if I hit 2x, my click to sale goal, the ideal for performance. So if I'm looking at 4 clicks as the ideal, once I hit 8 or 10, I can just automatically assume it's not converting as well as my good keywords. So I look at a few variables here. I look at my spend, I look at my CPC, but more importantly, I really look at how many clicks I have and really how that relates to my click to sale ratio, right? So if I have 12 clicks and no sales, I know my best keywords would have converted at 4. So I know I'm 3x beyond my click to sale ratio target. So depending on your product, that pausing metric could vary too. You're going to want to start at 2 times your average click to sale ratio. Now, if you have a brand new product and you have no data on it, then go ahead and start at 10. 10 is a super good ballpark. You're not ever going to miss anything starting at 10. But if you want to be accurate and base it on your own personal data, and you have that data, base it on your click to sale ratio, on your highest converting keywords with a lot of scale, multiply that click to sale ratio by 2, and that gives you the threshold that if something is at 0 orders or even 1 order and those clicks at these ACoS numbers, you can go ahead and pause them. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to mine your search terms, right? Without question, every 30 days, you're going to go in, and this is a search term report, and everything in blue is simply a new search term variation that wasn't being targeted as exact match. So these are search term variations mined off my single keyword ad groups, my scale ad groups. This campaign, you can see I have a whole bunch of new phrases that I'm going to simply add back into my scale group as exact match in the campaign build that I showed you in step 1. And this is an ongoing process. You absolutely mine your search terms every 30 days and you add new search terms to scale. And then you continue to set those search terms at your scale bid, same bid across all keywords in that group, bid for rank, and you continue to drive more and more sales. So to summarize your strategy on optimization, you want to outrank your competitors in phases to determine your actual CPC. Now, if you have a product that you know all of your costs and you know that you're strong in the market with great history, I would suggest going straight for the number 1 position. If you have a brand new product with no sales history, I would suggest that you get in there and you outrank those competitors in phases, that you get to the top of search as your primary goal, and then you continue to build sales history until you can effectively capture the number 1 spot. But if you have strong sales history and a product that's already ranked on the first page of search organically, you should take the number 1 spot in sponsored ads immediately. Now, you want to bid for rank on your highest converting keywords to increase sales, right? So the keywords that are the highest converting, you're always bidding for rank. You're always doing that uncapped bid, uncapped budget strategy where you're telling the algorithm that you have both the budget and the keyword bids to compete all day 24/7 for the sales on that particular term. You're going to pause keywords with 10 plus clicks that aren't converting to sales. And that can even be if they're at 0 sales and 10 clicks, they're definitely dead. But if they're at 1 order and they're excessively high in the ACoS, we're going to go ahead and look at some ACoS thresholds here in a minute. But if you have 10 plus clicks and you've only got one, kind of like one sale and it's in that 80% ACoS range, you can pause that. If you have 0 orders at 10 clicks, that can go as well. If you want to take that one step further, you could take your target click to sale ratio from your search term report and multiply it times 2. And that becomes the threshold to kind of plug keywords as you're optimizing. That's in the campaign manager several times a week, just to make sure that none of those keywords you're testing out of your search term report get run away and don't perform once you uncap them. The keyword performing, okay, when keywords are performing 2x above your target ACoS, they can't be optimized. So not all keywords can be optimized, and that's why pausing keywords is so important. When you get to very specific keyword thresholds, very specific ACoS thresholds, the keyword's hopeless. Like, it will never work for you. It's either by the time you adjust the bid, it's going to be 0 traffic. And even then, it just can't, if it's not converting at a good rate, even with lower traffic, it could still have bad ACoS because it just doesn't convert. So normally when you're 2x above your target ACoS, that keyword's gone. It's literally not something that you're going to be able to bid on and rank on successfully at any point in the game. You can bid a minimal amount, whatever your max CPC is, but even then, that keyword just might be something that has to be paused. You want to mine your search terms every 30 days to discover new keywords. That is absolutely the key strategy here. It's about consistency. It's almost like consistency in working out, consistency with your work habits, consistency in anything is always the key to winning, right? It's never like doing some big, sweeping, advanced tactic. It's like subtle shifts and good changes that are consistent are what win the game. So consistently mining every 30 days is really what's going to allow you to win in your market. Target ACoS goals. This is a really important thing because you have an ACoS. You have your target ACoS based on your cost of goods sold and based on what, your margins and what you sell your product for on Amazon. It's all unique to every person. The price point of your product gives you a lot of other variables that are going to kind of come into play there. But when you're looking at this, your target ACoS goals, if you're coming in 10 to 15% above your ACoS goal, that can be optimized. And that's one of those keywords that could actually, as you start to increase rank, could optimize itself, right? So if you get more traction on that keyword, you get it ranked at the top of search in the #1 position, you get it ranked in mobile, the ranking alone could kind of fix an ACoS at 10 to 15% above. It can balance out over time without question. Now, when you get to 15 to 20% above your ACoS, you're going to most likely have to reduce your bids. And without question, for you to have that keyword in your campaign, you're going to get reduced traffic. You cannot afford that keyword at scale. When a keyword is 15 to 20% above your target ACoS, it's never going to come back around and be a keyword that will scale. So even if you're at 10 to 15%, that keyword can scale. If you're below your target ACoS, that keyword is already scaling. But you can get 10 to 15% above and still kind of optimize and get some scale out of it. But once you get past really that 15% solid threshold, you're really in a place where that keyword's never going to come down without aggressive bidding. And then when you aggressively lower the bid, you're going to reduce that traffic. And then the third thing to keep in mind is, anytime you're 25 to 50% above your ACoS, right? In most of my campaigns, that's like 75% plus. So anytime you're 25 to 50% above your target ACoS, you just want to pause, right? You just want to pause that. It's really not even effective for you, because if you're 25 to 50% above your target ACoS, you probably have a massive relevance or conversion issue, and it's not going to be fixed through bidding. It's an issue that's going to, impact your sales history. It's not going to really, a lot of people will say, but geez, if I pause that keyword, aren't I going to lose sales history. It's like, well, you don't have sales history, because if a keyword is coming in that high above your target ACoS, your sales history is probably significantly weaker than your competitors. So you don't have, even though you may have some sales on that keyword, you don't have optimized sales, right? You don't have optimal conversion rates. So anytime a keyword doesn't have really good conversion rates, you want to get that out of your campaigns, because it's not going to give you any kind of win in the end anyway. Okay, so next week we're going to talk about the other 80% of visibility on placements. We're going to talk about competitors' keywords, which are a placement targeted strategy. And we're going to talk about auto campaigns, which are a placement targeted strategy. So next week, we're going to go into detail about our competitive strategy. We're going to do a little bit of ambush. We're going to get that visibility and those high impression shares that we can get marketing and advertising our products on competitors' product pages. So I'm going to, Melissa, are you out there?